Friedman, Brian Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, today's newsmakers, and you, the Morning Majority. 105.9 AM 630. WMAL.
It's 8:38 on a Tuesday morning. Larry Kudlow is on the line, host of the Kudlow Report on CNBC, 7 p.m. weeknights. Also the Larry Kudlow radio show here on WMAL, 7 o'clock on Saturday nights. Morning, Larry.
Good morning.
All right.
Good morning. Sorry.
It's okay. Making sure you're there. You're so excited about the flat tax, I guess, from Rick Perry that kind of took your breath away there.
Yeah, well, I interviewed him last night. We'll run the interview tonight after he gives his speech. And, yeah, it looks pretty interesting to me, 2020, 20 personal rate, 20% corporate tax rate. He's got an opt-out provision. One of the things I really like about it is he would abolish capital gains, dividends, estate taxes for everybody. No income threshold. Romney had a $200,000 income threshold. So Perry really is a pro-investment plan, and it moves the ball towards a consumption tax rather than taxing or double taxing saving and investment. And I think that's very pro-growth.
Okay, one of the things we've been kind of kicking around here, a little bit of a debate, is I thought the whole idea of a flat tax was to make the whole tax code, more simple to do. And in this particular plan, from what I've read this morning, is you have the option to actually have the flat tax or take the existing plan, and there are still all kinds of deductions that you can take as well. So it doesn't really, we still have a lot of things to deal with, and the IRS is still there. I just thought that was the whole idea of the flat tax, was to simplify everything.
Well, it is much more. It does simplify. Remember, we have an opt-out right now. We have the alternative minimum tax, and we have the income tax, and that's effectively an opt-out. And Steve Forbes had an opt-out in his flat tax plan, and Newt Gingrich has an opt-out in his tax plan. I think that's a transition, so I'm not going to, blast it. I want to see how this plays out. I have not read the paper yet. I don't know where Perry's paper is. I was looking for it last night on the web. I haven't seen it yet. But the opt-out doesn't really bother me. I'm not sure about the numbers, though. You make a good point. He's got essentially a $50,000 exemption for a family of four, and he does keep the mortgage deduction, and he keeps the state and local deductions, and he keeps the charitable deductions. Mm-hmm. So I don't know whether the numbers. In my interview, I asked him last night what the revenue estimates were and what the deficit estimates were and what the economic growth estimates were, and he didn't really have answers. He said his campaign had not yet priced that out. I think they'd better price it out as soon as possible.
We talked to Dan Mitchell from Cato earlier. He was really excited about the 18% GDP that he would cap spending at that level.
Right.
Is that something that you think
like
works?
That, but that's a tough slog. I like it very much, limited government. It's a tough slog. Perry has some very substantial, undefined budget cuts, and he has kind of a general Medicare reform plan in there. A lot of that's going to have to be fleshed out. But, I think it's a good plan. I'm very excited about this flat tax movement, and I'm very excited about the flat tax competition that's going on inside the Republican race. Herman Cain's got his plan, 999. Now Perry has his plan. Newt Gingrich, whose numbers are moving up, has a plan, and I think he's going to develop it some more. And I'm hoping that this will push Mitt Romney towards a much bolder tax vision than the one he outlined in his initial, 59-point plan. So I think, to me, the flat tax is very pro-growth, flatten the rates, broaden the base, exactly what we ought to do, and along with spending restraints. So I think this is very promising. And if I may, I think part of the stock market rally is based on these flat tax plans the past month. From Herman Cain right on through to now Rick Perry. Stocks love a flat tax because it will raise the after-tax return to investment and capital. And so I think this is it's a minority view. You're not going to hear many people say it, but I think it's encouraging because, after all, doesn't the stock market know that Obama's going to be defeated and that the Republican candidate with a flat tax is going to win? Isn't that the handwriting on the wall?
I hope you're right,
some would say.
Where's Mary Catherine? Some support here.
Well, I'm with you that I love the conversation going on here. I love them tossing out ideas and actually the whole country talking about a flat tax, which is fun. Each plan comes with its, inevitable attacks from critics and, it's terrible for poor people and it's great for rich people, that kind of stuff. And I wonder what your top tips for these guys in pitching these plans would be. You're a guy who talks about this stuff a lot, who knows the ins and outs, and I feel like maybe we've been lacking a bit in the pitch department thus far.
Well, I think you have to stay with it. You have to stay with it. And by the way, Herman Cain has done a good job staying with it, even making some adjustments to it, right, for people below the poverty line. It's 909, not 99. That's good. That shows me, first of all, he's a good marketing man, and second of all, he's got his ears open. And none of these things are necessarily perfect in the first pass. So I think, Rick Perry's got to sell the heck out of this. One guy who didn't sell his plan was Tim Pawlenty. Mm-hmm. Pawlenty had an excellent tax reform plan, and he never sold it. And he had an economic growth target of 5%, and he never sold that. And I think that was a gigantic mistake on Pawlenty's part, which contributed to his downfall. John Huntsman has a very good tax reform plan. It's not quite as bold as Perry and Cain, but it's good. It's a top rate, I think, of 23%, corporate rate 25%,
right.
Kind of close to Simpson Bowles. He's selling it in New Hampshire. It's just a limited campaign, but stay with it. That's my pitch. Stay with it and emphasize the benefits.
Let me ask you about the Dow, because you mentioned that it's been in something of a rally of late. We're at 11,913 in the Dow. If we have another 100-point day today, we could be above Dow 12 foul. What do you read into this? What's causing it? Is it something that's going to, again, be volatile in the days ahead?
Yeah, it's going to be volatile. I mean, it's a good run, I think, largely on the strength of better-than-expected corporate profits. The earnings reports for the third quarter, and we have about 150 out of 500 companies, are coming in 14, 15% above a year ago. That's a little better than people thought. The beats are better than the lights, and that's been positive too. And I think that's the biggest factor. And I think in the third quarter we did not fall into recession. Growth should be in the 2s. And there's a lot of hope about what's going on in Europe, although I have reports that there's some big snags in this European bailout story, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But I think earnings are driving stocks up. On the other hand, I'm not confident about the economy, and I don't think the economy is going to produce much, and therefore I can't say I'm truly confident about the stock market in the short run. I just think there's a lot of obstacles.
All right, you got Rick Perry on tonight?
I do. I have it. We taped it last night. I've been sworn to secrecy, but now it's all over the place. But we'll have him tonight, and you can judge for yourself. Yeah. Does he answer the Kudlow questions? I'm not sure he does.
All right. Well, we'll be watching for sure. Thank you, Larry, as always. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.